very much for the interesting presentation. So next is Professor Alfonso Vargas-Sánchez. He is at the Spanish University of Huelva, and he has headed a research group on innovation and development strategies in tourist firms, which is entitled Gated Tour, during the period 2004 and 2016. His main research interests are in the strategic market management discipline and in the tourism industry, both in companies and destination management. He carried several academic activities in different universities and higher education institutions around the world. Actually, I know him coming to Taiwan when I was there. And he's the editor-in-chief of a lighting tourism and pathmaking journal, which was launched in 2011 and is listed in Scopus since 2019. Professor Vargas, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much, dear Ernestes. Hopefully this sound is okay. I hope so. And first of all, my sincere gratitude to the organizers of this event for allowing me the opportunity to be part of this very distinguished panel of keynote speakers, and for sure the opportunity of sharing with you some of my ideas about the topic under discussion today. So let me share with you my presentation to start straight away. We have very limited time, so we have to take advantage of our time as much as possible. So I guess now you can see the first slide of my presentation. Hopefully you like this picture taken in my hometown. And as you know, the title of my keynote is A New Tourist Governance for a New Time. So there are two key elements in this title. Of course, the reference of a new time after the pandemic and tourist governance. So it's my intention to share with you some of my ideas about how tourist governance should evolve, especially as a result of this new time. So this is the structure of my presentation. Hopefully this can help you to follow my rationale. So if in the title there are two key elements, a new time first, and then tourist governance. First of all, in this general framework or introduction, I will provide you a quick glance about this new time. So a sort of confrontation between the situation before COVID and after COVID. This is what BC versus AC means. And also because the topic is about tourist governance. So governance is all about the strategy. So how to prepare our destination for gaining the future. So this is why some very brief ideas about the concept of a strategy today will be part of this introduction. As a result of with these two double inputs, I will recommend some ideas. I will make some suggestions about the post-COVID-19 scenario with regard to the most convenient strategic approach, in my view, to deal with the challenges ahead as a result of the legacy of the pandemic. But going beyond the pandemic is very important to pay attention to two key global drivers for change, specifically sustainability and the new wave of new technologies that is coming, this tech revolution, which is arriving and which is going to affect dramatically leisure experiences and tourist experiences in general. So with all these considerations, at the end, I will make some suggestions about the evolution of tourist governance and the roles of DMOs, and we will finish this presentation with some conclusions in terms of lessons to learn. Well, this is what I have prepared for you this morning. Hopefully we have available time to do so in the allocated slot time. So first of all, a quick look to this sort of confrontation between the situation before COVID and after COVID. So apparently it's not clear for everybody that we are in a new area, that things have changed, and we have to evolve and to adapt our strategies to these new circumstances. So here you can see in this table a sort of decalogue of reasons trying to exemplify how the situation is new, or to which extent the situation has changed. So, for example, I can see now that after the pandemic, during and after the pandemic, we will see in the tourist industry some more controls at the sanitary level, more concern about the capacity in public spaces, some more attention to social distances and so on. So I can see a certain different glance to the tourist industry, now more regional and a national look to the tourist industry. Of course, now we are at this moment in a more complex, uncertain, volatile, and ambiguous business environment, what is known in the literature as a VUCA environment, and this presents new challenges we have to deal with as managers. Also, the competition is higher. So going beyond of what has been named as a champagne effect, this sort of demand overflow once the mobility restrictions have been lifted totally or partially. Going beyond this temporary situation, the companies will face with an extremely high competition, which requires extremely high level of certain competencies such as creativity, flexibility, agility. This kind of abilities have to be work in depth in order to adapt the company to these new circumstances and destinations as a whole. So we can see that the certain new model of governance is required to deal with these new challenges. For example, a renovated alliances with the community, with local people, is necessary to push forward all together in this joint effort of recovery. So I will go back to this point later. And also it's necessary to rethink our experiences, to which extent tourism experiences have to be readapted to this new reality, the impact of new technologies, for example, the impact of this reinforced virtual layer that is being added to socialization and tourist experiences in general. So the impact of robots and artificial intelligence and so on. So I think that with this decalogue, we can see, in my opinion, very clearly that we are in a new scenario and we have to pay a lot of attention to the new challenges as a result of this new scenario. So let me remind you that the second part of this introduction is about the strategy today, the concept of a strategy, because governance is all about a strategy and how to prepare destinations for the future. So very quickly, 4 notes about this topic. So what we expect today is a more proactive approach to strategy, more proactive rather than reactive strategies. So secondly, we have to deal with new challenges in our business environment. What can be done in this respect is probably much better to change ourselves, let's say improving our products and services and so on, than to try to change others and to change our environments. Also in this same sense, probably it's much better to transform the relationships than to try to change others. This is, for example, what we are seeing in the relationship between hoteliers and the distribution channels, the online travel agencies. They are trying to change the relationship with this distribution channel. And finally, the 4th note is about the need of more articulating strategies, a more cooperative approach, rather than strategies based on confrontation. So the search for win-win strategies would be the summary of this final idea. So if we combine both inputs from this introduction, I can make some recommendations, if you allow me, about the strategic approach in the post-COVID-19 scenario. And these recommendations are organized into blocks, as you can see in this table. First of all, things that should be avoided. And basically, what should be avoided is certain inertias that should be reversed, and also some actions to explore. So what to do? Basically, with regard to the first column, the first block of recommendations, what should be avoided is some inertias. The inertias to understand that the solution of these new challenges is, once again, a promotion-based approach. So basically, no substantial changes are there. So what we need is more promotion, spending more money in promotion to revitalize demand and to reach the pre-pandemic situation. So this is closely connected with the inertia of business as usual. So going back to the previous situation, well, the pandemic has been a period, a bracket that has been open, that has been a traumatic experience, but now this bracket is about to be closed, and it's time to retake what was doing in the past, and that's it. And the inertia of governance as usual, so to retake the models that were used in the past without any adaptations to the new reality. I think basically this is the main idea, trying to reverse this kind of inertias and others, but basically the three I have mentioned. And what to do? Which kind of actions should be explored, in my opinion? So first of all, now is more important than ever, a systematically management based on data. So the implementation, the real implementation of a data-driven logic. And to do so is essential tracking tech developments and embracing the smart tourist model. So I'm not going to insist in this idea. It has been presented very, very brilliantly in the previous presentation, but this is something to be emphasized because not all destinations are moving in this direction. So something always important is the discussion about prices, what to do to face this increasing competition I have mentioned before, the usual inclinations to lowering prices. Well, this has to be taken very carefully because this depends on many factors, such as the company's strategic positioning or the destination. Strategic positioning depends on the market segment we are talking about. So they have to be done with a lot of care, considering the potential implications in our strategic positioning, and perhaps how these actions lowering prices can damage our strategic positioning. So another action to explore is market diversification. Market diversification to become more resilient. So we are seeing how some destinations are suffering a lot because they are too dependent on one single or very few outgoing markets, particularly international markets. So, well, this leads to the conclusion that diversification is necessary and this should be part of the strategic attempt for the years to come. And finally, cultivate the concept of restorative and regenerative tourism. Could be probably a nice idea which connects with the new momentum of sustainability issues. Well, but moving beyond the legacy of the pandemic, I wanted to emphasize two global drivers for change with very serious implications for the future of destinations and tourism as a whole. Obviously, sustainability issues, particularly eco-sustainability or the environmental dimension of sustainability, has gained momentum as a result of the pandemic. there are more funds in favor of sustainability, and also the technological revolution, which is coming probably faster than we think. Well, with regard to sustainability, the key question is if you're going to go into a new normal, or perhaps we will stay in the old normal. So, of course, always there are organizations, companies, destinations with a more proactive organizational culture, going a step ahead from others. But I could say that it won't be realistic to expect a spontaneous evolution towards a strong focus on sustainability. So in this field, it's very interesting to have a look to some theoretical approaches, such as the new institutional theory, which pays particular attention to the different pressures from the institutional environment as a very important factor to understand how companies evolve, how companies are pushing a certain direction, in this case, the direction of sustainability. So I mean the coercive pressure, normative pressure, and mimetic pressures that are underlying by this theoretical approach. So combining both dimensions, the internal dimension of organizational culture and the external dimension of the level of pressure from the institutional environment, we can identify different scenarios. And of course, I would say that the more desirable one would be number one, with a fast pace towards a new normality. But I repeat, will depend mainly on the external forces in implementation. And an extra comment about technologies. What has been named by some authors as tourist experiences in the machine age. Well, those new technologies that are in mind of all of us, I don't need to repeat them, even they have been mentioned by other speakers, are going to have a dramatic impact on the tourist industry and how experiences are designed and enjoyed. So this impact can be classified following this approach at the three levels you can see in this table. So who designed them, what kind of content, and where to experience that content. So what we're going to see is the joint impact of artificial and crowd intelligence as a source of new tourist experiences. What we are going to see also with regards to content is a more active role of users. Tourists will have a much more active role in the definition of the content of these leisure and tourist experiences in general. What we're going to see is a fully immersive virtual reality world, which brings tourist experiences into a new dimension, of course, and obviously a higher level of customization, more personal experiences. And finally, at the third level mentioned, and we can see in this table about the where to experience the content, well, this content can be enjoyed here, there, and everywhere, which also will push up tourist experiences into a new dimension. Well, if we take all these elements, the pandemic legacy, the impact of sustainability efforts, the impact of the tech revolution, perhaps we can conclude some recommendations, we can make some suggestions about how tourist governance should evolve. And this evolution, from my point of view, should be based on three main pillars, as you can see also in this table. Evolution in the core values of tourist governance. First of all, intellectual humility. If we have learned something from the pandemic, is that we have a very limited capacity to control the results of our actions. So this is the sense of this intellectual humility we have to impinge into tourist governance. Also, a stronger sense of solidarity with our community, not as a mere exercise of social responsibility, but as a way to strengthen our connections with the different elements, stakeholders, part of our community. So, as I said before, we need a new alliance with our community, and this is a new way to consolidate this new, stronger alliance with our community. And never forget the centrality of people, even within this matching age I have referred before. It's also clear from my point of view that management capabilities have been enhanced at different levels. For example, in the anti-crisis contingency plans. So if crisis management wasn't in their agendas till now, I think that from now, this has to be part of the manager's agenda, pay much more attention to this kind of anti-crisis plans, contingency plans. Also, we have to enhance our abilities to create these networks with our community, to waive those network of contacts, complicities, partnerships, alliance with our community. Obviously, there is a clear need of upgrading the technological capabilities of destination and professionals working for them, and of course, the strengthening of knowledge management tools. And as anticipated before, diversification became more important for gaining higher levels of resilience. And finally, as also referred, a new alliance with society is very important in this new tourist governance landscape and trying to present to you. So tourism is not done for people, it's done by people. So we need to understand that the involvement of local communities is even more important than before. And this is something essential for the recoveries all of us are trying to contribute. And to conclude and be respectful with the allocated time, some changes in the traditional DMO's roles. There are 3 proposed changes, and as you can also see in this table. The first is to become a real orchestrator of players in the destination. So take this idea of a strategy as an exercise of articulation, as an exercise of cooperation, this idea of the strategies as a social architects that needs to waive all these kind of networks, complicities, partnerships that you need to move forward. So this is the first idea, moving from the traditional role as a marketer to this new role of orchestrator of players. The second idea is to become a real facilitator of opportunities for its members. So instead of a mere intermediary in the value chain with very little value because destinations don't have a product to offer, they are a mere intermediary, to become a facilitator of opportunities for companies and other members part of the destination. And finally, and even more importantly, if you allow me, to become the intelligence promoter and strategic mind of the destination. So this is more important than ever now in the after COVID time, because we need to re-understand the new patterns of consumption. We need to re-understand the new rules under which the industry will work. And this is why this role has to be reinforced, not a mere brand promoter, but an intelligence promoter. So at the end, the final conclusions can be this as lessons to learn. So I will leave this slide on the screen for you to have a look, because I think now we are on time and I have to stop here to allow some time for questions and answers. Once again, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Alfonso. It was a great presentation. We have several questions. One comes from Victor Perez. He's asking, what is your consideration about the future use of composite indicators and their usefulness to support managerial decisions in the managed based on data?
Well, composite indicators I think our questioner meant probably about, or refers probably about a new success metrics, which I think is absolutely necessary to encourage tourism and destinations, to guide tourism and destinations into this new world. Obviously, we have to run away from the old success metrics based on mere quantitative indicators, and we have to move or complement these indicators with other of qualitative nature. So at the end, everything is done to improve people's quality of life, residents' quality of life, tourist experiences, and this should be also taken into consideration in these composite indicators to measure success and to allow destinations to move properly into this new scenario.
Thank you very much, Alfonso. Thank you very much for your contribution. Now we will continue with Efia Slanidou, who is moderating the presentation of destinations session. So we done with our keynote for today, and the floor is to Efia Slanidou. Thank you very much.